ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Aaron Ferguson, and this is Citizens Review, where we take an independent stance to provide an accurate analysis of the bold questions that the people want answered. So whether you're watching from the comfort of your living rooms or your bedrooms or wherever you may be at home or abroad, remember, we are the citizens. So let's begin the review. Last week we ran the review. The man in question was the infamous father of tourism, Stafford Sands. We at Citizens Review brought the review to you, the citizen, as we took a look through the annals of time to discover who was this man they called Stafford Sands. Well, with some help from Randall Fawkes, our founding father of labor, we were able to see Stafford Sands through very different spectacles. Had a lot of people come up to me this week, including Belinda Wilson, a good, strong, hard-working lady at the Teachers Union, and said thanks for that good lecture on Stafford Sands. Different from that, he's usually portrayed in many different ways, but we, however, came with our legitimate sources and we brought some light to the issue. Our review brought us to the conclusion, or rather, it begged to ask the question, how different Welcome back to the show. Something I want to point out that I forgot to mention is that when I thought about our great Bahamian artists, I had heard about Lena Horne passing, but I also was driving with my mother, the beautiful Sharon Smith Ferguson, on Mother's Day in the afternoon, and I heard some Blind Blake and some George Simonette on the radio. Out of Me is that song. Out of me, out of me. Yeah, I don't know if you know that song, but they was playing the music on the radio on Island 102.9. Now, this is free advertisement, but I have to say this. Charles Carter has to be commended for his preservation of Bahamian music and culture. I mean, to be in this kind of market, which is so small, and to push Bahamian music the way that Charles Carter does, and multicultural existences. There's sometimes you turn on Island 102.9 and they're speaking Haitian Creole. They have different shows, a multiplicity of cultural diversity and shows and all that stuff at Island 102.9. Charles Carter deserves respect. He deserves his acknowledgments for being a Bahamian that has contributed great, because that can't be easy to do. We don't have as much as an appreciation for it as we should, and so I know it's difficult to do what he does, but he does it. And like he says, these are Bahamians. He's a great Bahamian, Charles Carter. This show we want to deal with this issue of what I call Sir Yes Sir. We have this problem where I got a call, and a young man said, you know, I was telling you about this earlier. He said his father loves the show, but he has a problem with how sometimes I'll just say Randall Fawkes, or I'll say Stafford Sands, or I'll say Lyndon Pinling, or I'll say Hubert Ingram, or just Ingram, or I'll say Perry Christie, or just Christie. And he has a problem with that because he believes I'm being disrespectful, and he believes that I need to say their proper titles, and I need to call them the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram from Grand Bahama, who moved to Abaco when he went to live with his grandma and came to Nassau and ran for election, and when PLP then moved to Independent, then moved to F&M, and then Cecil Wallace Whitfield died, and he supposedly got handed over the mantle and then became Prime Minister. I'm supposed to say all of that every time that I address him. Well, citizens brought it to the table, and we looked at it. And like with the distasteful, we had to review it, and there's a problem. And we did some research. We looked at President Obama. That's our fella over in America, and he running the show from Kenya, you know. And I said, okay, so how do they refer to Obama? Well, we did some research, and we're going to bring you some clips from the United States media to see how the president of the greatest country in the world at this time. They're currently experiencing what they call a unipolar moment, where only one country is at the top of the world. So the president of that country is referred to in this way. Let's have a look at the clip and see if I'm still being inappropriate.
Barack Obama needs a vacation. He must be tired. He spent the last 6 months transforming our country. Barack Obama has revealed his game plan to transform America. How's that woman feeling now as she continues to write her own checks for her own mortgage and fill up her own gas tank? I wonder if she's disappointed in Barack Obama, or she's just can't. Barack Obama can't be blamed for this. He couldn't. Anybody. Let's look at Obama's taxation policies. And when I say that change, I mean, you know, the kind of change that Obama and Karl Marx wanted so badly. Redistributing to the poor if Obama gets his way on energy policy.
Now, I don't know. Now, I'm not a fan of Glenn Beck, so that you know, but that's a clip that we got to kind of show that in the media in the United States, they don't have to be calling him the mixed race boy from Kenya and Hawaii who moved to this one, a.k.a. President Obama. They just get to the point. His name is his name. And in law, you have a given name, which is your first name, and then you have a title, which is your last name, the one that the slave master gave most of us that has nothing to do with us, but we have it anyway. So your given name is Hubert. Your extra name is Alexander. Your title is Ingram. So what is the problem? What is disrespectful about calling a man by his name? I can't imagine it. But I said, okay, we're not Americans. We're former British colony. And so perhaps we have more respect for London and what London's news would do to someone like, say, the great Honorable Gordon Brown. So let's see what the BBC does when they refer to Gordon Brown.
We'll take no questions this evening. Other discussions can be had later. Thank you very much.
Gordon Brown effectively saying two things. One, that negotiations are going to start immediately with the Liberal Democrats. Our political correspondent Ian Watson was listening to that. Is that a fair summation of what Gordon Brown has just announced?
Gordon Brown is part of that. Has put his own political future on the line. Has gone a little bit.
Go figure. In London, they don't say your whole brigade before they call your name. They just say your name. Somehow in London they find it respectable. You know, when they have those meetings called the G20, the group of 20 with the largest countries in the world, all of those countries in there like London and the United States, they're in there. And somehow in those G20 countries, they don't call their people all these bunch of names. They just say Brown. They just say Obama. In Germany, you have the Chancellor, Merkel. They say Chancellor Merkel or Merkel. In, let's do some other countries. Let's see. We have Russia, who is also part of the G20. What do they call the president of Russia? Well, they used to call him Putin, Vladimir Putin, or they refer to the new president as Dmitry Medvedev, or Medvedev, or Dmitry. Sometimes they call him by their first name. The Queen, the sovereign. You all think she's the sovereign. I don't know her, never met her, but the Queen. They refer to her as Elizabeth II. That's the woman's first name. I mean, but because they said that it's important to say it like this, then it's important. I can't quite understand. Gandhi. Most people don't even know his first name. Mahatma Gandhi, the man who brought India to independence. We showed you his face last week on the Indian dollar to make a point about the faces of independence. Another person. There's a little short man that a lot of Bahamian young people have respect for. They may not necessarily know his story. They have respect for him because he traveled around the world with the title of emperor. Now, in protocol, emperor comes before king and queen, and then comes presidents and heads of state, and then comes prime ministers, and then you got the rest, chief ministers, premiers, cabinet ministers, all them other people who ain't really high up on the rung, right? So this man that I'm talking about, who we call by his first and last name, was an emperor, Haile Selassie. And Haile Selassie, who we call Selassie, Selassie I, all kinds of things, and don't consider it disrespect. Haile Selassie made his mark by traveling the world with the understanding that his designation as Emperor of Ethiopia, coming from Addis Ababa, meant that he was higher in rank than a queen. So he traveled and he made queens and kings have to follow protocol and toy up to him. That's another example. Here's another example. Hillary Clinton, the women's rights leader of the world. We call her Hillary. Her whole campaign said, call me Hillary. I'm Hillary. But that's America. We've already showed you some London. But let me show you some more London. Because Bohemians are, we into that British thing. And in the last elections in Great Britain, they had the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, and the Conservative Party. The Labour Party was led by Gordon Brown. The Liberal Democrats was led by Nicholas Clegg. And the Conservative Party is led by David Cameron. Well, let's see this clip that addressed a little bit before the election that talked about Nick Clegg.
Well, with me now to take a closer look at tomorrow's front pages is the podcaster and broadcaster Ollie Mann. Right, Ollie, let's get straight on to the Daily Telegraph.
Yes. The story is that in 2006, when Nick Clegg wasn't the leader of the Liberal Democrats, he was taking personal donations into his bank accounts from three sort of wealthy business declared by the Lib Dems. It's just that they should have really gone into a central Lib Dem pot, and they didn't. They went into Nick Clegg's personal bank account. Now, the Lib Dems tonight, I kind of think it reminds me a bit of that story about Gordon Brown's cleaner. Do you remember that? When the expenses scandal began. You know, they kicked off the...
We'll try and get to that. Let's hope we have time for that, because we must whiz on. David Cameron down the bottom of the Telegraph's front page there to focus on the camera.
That's right.
This is Prime Ministerial debate tomorrow. Focus on the camera? What does that mean?
Well, this is all to do with Nick Clegg talking straight down the barrel during those election debates last week, attributing that to the fact that he spoke directly down the camera lens and is saying David Cameron should do the same. I'm sceptical that was the
right. Let's whiz on. Yes. Another important pillar of the Tory press, the Daily Mail, and guess who they're going for?
That's right. I mean, extraordinary. They don't even use the word Nick on the front page, just Clegg. I mean, a week ago, Daily Mail readers wouldn't even know who Nick Clegg was. Now he's Clegg. But like I say, this...
The Guardian, who want... Oh, it's the Tories and the gay MP bit, is it?
That's right. Well, actually, this is, I think...
So this is my thing, right? When I was in college, I had a professor that spoke to us in our Introduction to Political Science course. And the professor's advice was, before you enter college, you have to make sure that you have your priorities straight. And this idea about, you know, calling them by their whole names is a priority problem. Here's the first problem. In the Bahamas, we operate on a theory that the politicians are in charge and we are the underlings. That's a problem. And every time people ask me if I'm going into politics or if I'm interested in politics, I tell them we operating on the wrong theory. That theory has to be corrected first. We are no such underlings. They work for us. The next time you see Christie or Ingram or Wilcombe or Nottage or any one of them on the streets, when you see Alvin Smith, when you see Kendall Wright, any of them on the street, walk up to them and ask them, hey, you know, what you been doing? How's the job coming that we hired you to do? Because they work for us. There is no, it doesn't work the other way around. So we have to get that theory right first. That's our priority mix-up. The other priority mix-up is that we major on minor. You know, when you go to college, you have a major and then you have a minor. And you're supposed to focus on your major. But some people go to college and they major on the minor. And then the major gets messed up and then they miss the whole big picture. Well, we can't major on minor. You know what majoring on minor is? When we sit around talking about the analysis needs to include the right honorable, instead of focusing on the fact that we've talked about the fact that children in the Bahamas have starving problems. Social services get $9 million. And to the credit of the F&M, more money than has ever been given in one particular term to social services, but they out. The money has been given out. So we have some serious issues. You know what is a majoring on minor? When we focus on these government diversions, like bills that we discuss in Parliament that completely waste our time, and we don't get to the point, and we never pass it. That's majoring on minor. But dealing with your major is dealing with the fact that BEC averaging $200-300 for small apartments a month. That's a mortgage. That's the major. The major is that our bank mortgage foreclosures is outrageous, and there is a crisis. That's a major, not right honorable, not sir, not make sure you're missing, call him this. If I call you by your name is your name, it is your given name and your title, and that is who you are. And if you want to be anything other than that, then that's your business, because I ain't interested. All I'm interested in is that we stick to the focus, and the focus is the Bahamian people. Next up, we have some special reports. We have Mr. Ethrick Bowe coming in, and we're going to talk about another issue where government does just about whatever it is that they want to do and don't listen to what people are saying. And there's a disparity between treatment of people in different areas. We can get into all of that when we come back. Before the break, we have Smokey 007 bringing us some good music. Boy, look here. That's when it was sweet. We'll be right back.
I am dancing with an angel, with an angel, an angel, an angel. I am dancing with an angel, with an angel, an angel, an angel. Just a little polka, a little polka. Oh, what a girl in my arms. Just a little polka, any little polka, but oh, what a girl in my arms tonight. Oh, what a girl in my arms. I am dancing with Bernita, with Bernita, Bernita, Bernita. I am dancing with Bernita, with Bernita, Bernita, Bernita. Just another polka, any other polka. Oh, what a girl in my arms. Just another polka, any other polka. But oh, what a girl in my arms tonight. Oh, what a girl in my arms.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We have here with us, like I said, Mr. Ethrick Bowe, who is with the Coconut Grove Business Association. And naturally, as you've heard from him on radio, television, last night, I believe he was on ZNS new program, Point of View, talking about the challenges that businesses and pedestrians, people in the neighborhood and the market and Blue Hill areas have been having with the road changes. Mr. Bowe, some questions for you. The automatic assumption that some people have had is, why resist change? Why push back on change? People are they're trying to fix the road, they're trying to advance us. Why would you resist that? Tell us your feeling about that, because I've heard a lot of confusion surrounding it.
We are not opposed to change. We are opposed to negative change.
Okay.
We're not opposed to progress. We support progress. We want the roads improved. We want the drainage put in. We want the utilities put in properly. We support all these things. What we do not support is the destruction of Bahamian businesses, the loss of jobs. We've got over 400 jobs that could be on the line with these changes. We're not guessing here. We've seen the experience when they changed the road on Bay Street and Shirley Street to facilitate Saul Kersner. Bahamian businesses were lost permanently. We saw what happened when Tonic Williams Darling Highway was turned around. Businesses disappeared, jobs were lost permanently. That's 2 points on the graph. We'd be the third point on the graph.
Yeah.
We've already seen business decline between 25 and 75%. These are real figures. So we don't have to wait until we're dead to when we can't scream to start saying, well, we should have screamed.
Exactly.
We have a real problem here, and it's not just our problem. Our Prime Minister in the newspaper today said the economy is sick. We also know that everywhere in the world, a healthy economy is buoyed by a vibrant small business sector. Yet the actions of the government are destroying this very small business sector that we need to maintain. The government is behaving in a very schizophrenic way, you know.
Okay.
Last
What do you
night,
mean by that?
last night they're talking about in a town hall meeting about a small business act that is supposed to promote small and medium-sized businesses. While they're talking about promoting us, they're at the same time destroying us.
Yeah.
Something is very wrong with that.
Something's wrong with that.
The Bahamian dream is to own a business now. Whenever I interview potential employees, I ask them, how do they see themselves 5 years from now? Invariably, the answer is, I want to own my own business. That is the Bahamian dream. What we're doing through these actions is we're showing the dreamers that what they're dreaming about could very well become a nightmare at any time, depending on how the government feels. This situation with the roads, it's not about widening the roads or anything like that now. This is about something totally different, because we don't have to be on the opposite side of the government. We can settle this very easily.
How is that?
Simply by introducing a third lane on Blue Hill Road between Robinson Road and Nassau Street.
Okay.
That will actually increase the capacity of the road. Right now we've got, before the change, we had 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. After the change that they are putting in place, we'll have 2 lanes going north,
And
2 lanes going south.
Between the 2 roads?
Yeah.
Okay.
No increase in capacity.
Okay.
What we're saying to them is, you can leave the roads with 2-way traffic and actually increase the capacity by putting in a third lane on Blue Hill Road. When this was proposed to the engineer, why didn't they look at that option? The response was, because it is cheaper to do it this way.
Wow.
Now, cheaper...
that's interesting. I
cheaper
wonder
for
if that cheapness offset the cost of losing these businesses and these jobs.
I'm sure it doesn't. And I'm sure that if our Prime Minister and the leadership knew when they were approving all of these things that 400 jobs were at risk, they would not have done this. It's just now that it may be a little difficult from an ego point of view to step back. But we need to put the people before our own egos. And what we're doing now is we appealing to the government, the people that we employ, the people that, they work for us. They're supposed to work for us. The people that we employ, that please change the roads back. Please listen to us this one time. Please act in our interests this one time. That is what we asking them. In addition to the jobs, there's a serious safety issue.
Okay.
2 young girls were already struck down on Market Street. A third was...
which is definitely a neighborhood district.
When they put that in there the first day, one of the comments coming out of there was, any fool knows you can't put a highway through the ghetto.
Exactly.
This is a densely populated area. A lot of school children, a lot of little children on the roads all the time.
And some 4 or 5 schools in the area.
That's right. And in these kind of neighborhoods, not only do people walk on the roads all the time, they actually play in the streets.
Exactly.
But the Canadian consultants who did this design, they wouldn't be aware of this because this doesn't happen in Canada.
Yeah, that ain't their kind of thing.
And the problem that we've had is every time the Bahamian engineers made a suggestion, well, you can't do that, they were moved away from the project.
Yeah.
So the project was foreignized more and more. And that is the feeling we have when we drive through there now, that you're in a foreign place.
Yeah.
What has happened is the Coconut Grove really is the heart and soul of Over the Hill. And what we're doing, in addition to threatening jobs and upsetting the economy, we are really ripping the soul out of one of our cultural areas. There's more to this than just business and safety even.
Agreed.
There's a way of life that we're destroying right now.
Agreed.
And our leaders ought to be sensitive to this. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to let them know that they don't have to be so hard all the time.
Yeah, they could.
We understand they're macho, we understand they're men, we understand they're strong. But they don't have to practice it on us so hard, man.
Well, Mr. Bo, we actually ventured to go down into Coconut Grove. We have a special report coming to you from our special correspondent, Lawrence Rigby, who is a mass communications major at the College of the Bahamas. Have a look at this report.
Aaron, we are on the corner of Marcus Street and Palm Tree Avenue, and the recent road changes implemented by the government have left motorists a bit confused and frustrated. Lewin Road is now heading northbound and Marcus Street now southbound. Motorists are left with sort of a mixed reaction of what exactly has taken place, and they're still wondering whether or not they will benefit from these road changes. It seems now that the game is being played of whose side are you on? And we at Citizens Review, well, we are on the side of the people.
Well, if I could say for myself, we need to get ZNS and Cable 12 to look at Lawrence. He is certainly a good reporter. But let me ask this final question. There's a safety issue with people driving fast through the ghetto. There's some issues with the businesses. It seems to me that there's enough here that if there was a responsible government minister, they would have sat down already. They would have said, listen, how can we consolidate our interests? How can we still get the road to a progressive point, but also deal with the challenges that you guys have had? Has the government done that yet? Have they responded responsibly?
No, they have not responded responsibly. As a matter of fact, from the very beginning, Minister Nico Grant made it very clear to us that, number one, it's not worth sitting down with him. Number two, it's above his pay grade. What Minister Nico, these are quotes. What Nico Grant is basically saying to us is we've got to go to the Prime Minister to have this resolved. And I'm hoping that the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, will deal with this responsibly from the small man's point of view, from the Bahamian citizen's point of view.
And after all of this press, you mean the swift acting, fast change, and Hubert Ingram hasn't gotten to you yet?
He has gotten to me. We met at a social function.
The decision maker.
And we had a discussion at a social function, but that wasn't why I was there. I only wanted to introduce myself to him at that function. Mm-hmm. So I'm still awaiting a formal response from the Prime Minister, and we're prepared to meet with him at any time to discuss this, because I find it impossible, in spite of everything that everybody else has told me, I find it impossible to believe that I cannot repose my trust in our Prime Minister. I am holding out hope that he is still trustworthy.
Boy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. This is Mr. Bo talking about the Market Street and Blue Hill changes. Up next, we have Dr. Bernard Nordich, who is the Member of Parliament for a constituency that will be affected in the second phase, Bain and Grantstown. And my comment is that, I mean, citizens shouldn't have to come on TV to see the Prime Minister. Mr. Ingram, please, get your act together. You have a shirt here?
Aaron, they told us to be creative because one of our members, she makes T-shirts, and she's invested over $250,000 in new property, and she's being affected because she doesn't know now how she's going to pay the mortgage. But she's starting to be creative, and she's put this together for us, and I'm here to give you a copy, one of these.
Thank you very much.
These are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that
it looks good.
The government will buy some. Perhaps when they have a T-shirt day in the schools, they could have all the kids wear these T-shirts so that we could have Bahamian products in the school and keep some Bahamian small businesses alive, keep some Bahamian jobs going.
Amen. And I see it's done by the comic Stevie Burrows.
Ah, yes. Excellent artwork.
Good Bahamian art. All right, well, more after these messages.
Nassau's gone funky. Nassau's got soul now. Oh, yeah. And we've got a doggone beat now. We're gonna take care of business, too. Listen to the drummer playing his beat. Listen to the bass man Go get that same groovy beat. Listen to the guitar, give that soul some tune. Feeling good. The horn gonna bring it on home to you. Ain't it funky now? Oh yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We have here Dr. Bernard Nottage, the Member of Parliament from Bain and Grantstown. He made some comments that were very interesting to me in the House of Assembly, where he talked about the negligence that has been handled by the F&M government, and also the disparate treatment between Bay Street redevelopment and these changes that have been made over the hill with the Market Street and Blue Hill Road changes and some other issues. Dr. Nottage, I highlighted that on the last show because I found that to be interesting. When people first brought this issue to me, at first I thought, like other people, I say, you know, change is good. We're trying to fix the road. And then Mr. Bowe gave me a call and highlighted some things. But you highlighted another issue. And you are, if anything else, an over-the-hill member of Parliament. First in Kennedy, now in Bain and Grantstown. Explain to us what you were getting at with the difference between the treatment.
Well, I represent Bain and Grantstown, and part of my constituency covers part of Bay Street, the commercial section of Bay Street, but most of it, as you know, is over the hill. Last year, the government came as a result of requests from the people who own Bay Street. And came with the Nassau Redevelopment Act, where they provided them with a lot of incentives to renovate their buildings, to import materials and so forth for their businesses. The people over the hill have far greater problems than that. So as Member of Parliament in Parliament, I pointed out the disparity in the treatment between those people who work and have their businesses north of Meeting Street, which is the Bay Street section, and those south of Meeting Street, which is the over-the-hill section. For years, they have been asking, and it's patently clear for the world to see, that they need help in terms of redeveloping over the hill, redeveloping businesses, cleaning up the neighborhoods, etc. We've not been able to get that. This week, the government signed a memorandum of understanding with a group of Bay Street businessmen, enabling them to move their businesses off of Bay Street, reap a tremendous benefit from selling what is prime property and relocating them to Arawak Key.
All of this they receive assistance
all of which was funded primarily by the government when you consider they spent $80 million to create the key, which they are putting the new container port on. And then the government is sharing the expenses of its development and saying that they're going to sell the shares that they have in that to ordinary people in due course. In the meantime, you have a group of persons who have businesses on Blue Hill Road and in the Grove, not the West Grove, Coconut Grove.
Coconut Grove, the real Grove.
Where you have small businesses, and as many of them, you know, not only the formal businesses, but informal businesses, where people go to buy their fruit, to buy their grocery, to get their clothes washed, to buy little condiments, convenience stores, mom and pop shops, the cottage industries in people's homes. And what they're doing is, in the middle of all of that, based on a study that was done 15 years ago, saying that they want to make it easier for people to be able to get downtown, either to shop or to go to work, and through neighborhoods where they are now creating much greater traffic congestion, and they're destroying businesses. This is a serious issue.
That's a very serious
issue. This
issue.
is not a political issue. It's an economic issue. It's a social issue. It's a cultural issue. What do we want? What do we expect people over the hill to do when they are transforming their communities by the sweat of their brows, when they're developing small businesses that They are patronizing. You know, in Baintown where I am, everybody in a house seems to be selling something.
Yeah.
But they sell to each other, and they have an underground economy going that keeps all of them afloat.
Yeah.
And a firm coming from Canada to talk about road traffic management doesn't understand the total impact of that. It's for us. We live there. I was born on East Street. My mother ran a store there.
Exactly.
Now, what they're going to do is cause cars to be going in one direction, one part of the day, in the other direction, the other part of the day, and they can't stop. There's nowhere to park. So you know, they're talking about doing these loops, and if you want to shop on Blue Road, you come down Cook, Market Street, and then you do a loop and go. People don't do loops like that.
And these loops are also through
These loops are all through various
neighborhood corners.
Which they are making, some of which they are making one way as well. So, to be honest with you, I think it was described as a nightmare, and it is. Now, it's true that people will get over it and get used to it, but in the process of doing that, they will do what they did on Shirley Street.
Yeah.
They destroyed businesses. They killed them dead as a doornail. Okay? And they will not improve the traffic problem. When they built the Charles W. Sanders Highway, they promised those of us who live out east that we'd be able to get to work sooner.
No.
It didn't happen.
It's only a two-lane highway.
It didn't happen. Okay? It's not going to work.
Yeah.
The traffic congestion is going to be with us as long as we have the number of cars we have, as long as we practice going to work all at the same time and coming home at the same time. It doesn't matter what they do with the road direction. We need to do some other things.
Yeah.
I think if you talk to the people who live in the Carmichael Road area and all that, who have to go to town, they're finding it now a nightmare trying to get in the mornings. It's worse than it used to be.
Exactly.
And people who live south of the East-West Highway, who have to come down Market Street and come, it's a nightmare.
Is the opposition investigating a plan of action to move in a different direction? And this is some of the challenges we have, because we hear from members of parliament like yourself who are affected, but we never seem to hear from the party consolidated with one idea of what the response is.
Well, what I'm seeking to organize in my area is a detailed questionnaire for businesses.
Okay.
To see how they think it will affect them. We already have the evidence from what's happening in Blue Hill Road and Coconut Grove. And what we are going to do is to seek to compile a manual which we can use to intercede with the government.
Okay.
I have brought the matter up in Parliament. I'm disappointed in the Prime Minister's response, very cavalier. He talks about Rupert Roberts and people fronting for Rupert Roberts, as if these men and women whose businesses are being potentially destroyed are concerned about Rupert Roberts. Rupert Roberts has stores all over town. I mean, if he closes down his Blue Hill Road store, he might miss it.
Yeah.
His employees will miss it, though.
Certainly.
And the people who purchase from him will miss it. But I'm talking about the people like Community Hardware and the gas station.
That's their only business.
And Melissa Sears and, not Melissa Sears, sorry.
Ms. Fowler.
Ms. Fowler, who owns Sears Uniform Shop and so forth and so on. These are the people, and the tart lady, and the guy who sells things from his home.
Yeah.
These are the people who are going to be affected. The man with the jet skis, who now can't get his jet skis in his yard because the traffic is so heavy on Market Street. I mean, these are the type of people you're talking about. Hard-working, ordinary people who we are encouraging, we say, to go into business, and whose businesses we are adversely affecting without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't believe they did it to affect the businesses.
Agree.
Okay? Mind you, if the planning was as it should be, for example, the big truck owners say that trucking now from Market Street and turning onto Robinson Road is almost an impossibility.
Absolutely.
And unless they do something with the lines and do something with the actual space for turning, it's going to wreak havoc. I had the experience myself, coming down on the right-hand side of Market Street, and the bus, which is turning right, is on the left, in the left lane, which is supposed to turn left.
Yeah.
He's in the left lane because he comes in the right lane, he can't turn his bus.
Exactly.
No, they didn't do their work properly. Even if they didn't do their work properly, and we're now having consequences that they didn't expect, sit down with everybody.
Admit your problems.
And let's work out a plan. For me, a simple thing might be that for periods of high traffic, to have, you may have the one way for an hour or two in the morning and an hour or two in the afternoon,
yes,
and let the road flow both ways the rest of the day. That's doable.
Exactly.
I mean, but those are
time changes.
Right, the time changes.
Okay.
Providing a third lane, as has been suggested on Blue Road, or a lane for parking so people can actually stop and park. But right now, it's a problem.
But the point is that we have to the government has to sit back down and talk to the residents about what's the way forward.
I went to a town meeting, and ministers, you know, when you have a town meeting to talk to people, you have to come with a little bit of an open mind.
Exactly.
But they told the people, now we come here to talk to you, but nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
So what anybody wants to talk to them for?
They must work for themselves, Dr. Nowdage. I don't know.
But they thought so.
Anyway, we have a clip here. Thank you for coming on the show. We have a clip from one of the most famous established business persons in the Coconut Grove area, Ms. Laura Williams. Have a look at this clip. We'll go straight to break and then come back with the citizens' arrest.
Look here, this a ghetto. How could you put a highway in a ghetto? See, this government say there's a caring government. But let me tell you something with this government. And what I want you to, what I can tell you with this government, you better pay. Because if you ain't getting paid, don't take me. Because this a no good, weightless, good for nothing, no heart government with no love, no sympathy for the poor black Bahamian, especially the small man in business. Let me tell you this. Nico Grant is the minister for this road. Nico Grant don't live in Nassau. He is in Freeport. Nico Grant don't know nothing about Nassau. For you to go through these cross corners without getting an accident, you have to know this area. And half of these motorists don't have motorists. They don't know this area. I was in the town meeting, I hear Tommy Tank was talking about make a loop turn. What do you know about any loop turn in St. Cecilia? Without traffic. The traffic would coming up, going up, north, right? They're going to work. Huh? When 5 o'clock, they knocking off, they coming this side going home. So you can tell me now, you now going to the food, you going to work in the morning now. You from home, then dress up going to work. You focusing on your job now. You can stop in the food store and buy a pack of chicken, right? Put it in the back of your trunk for 5 o'clock. You can stop by Laura's stall, buy a couple fruits, put it in the back of your truck or your vehicle until 5 o'clock because you know you can't pass this way. You can do that? No! I never see Oil DeVoe here shopping in this area. I never see Nico Grant say where you put me. Because the only time I see Nico was last week when he ride around with the glass screw up in one Jeep with the government plate on it. You understand why? Because the only time I see Nico was last week when he ride around with the glass screw up in one Jeep with the government plate on it. You understand what I'm saying? But how we feeling over here? They don't know the situation, how our business run. Our business make money going this way. Look at it right now. Look at it. Look at the area. Just in the evening, just the time when customers coming south going home. That's going to work. Today, this is the time the customers going south, they going home. But who on the road today? Huh? You see anybody on the road? Tired not, and there's a graveyard. I know we had a graveyard in St. Cecilia's constituency. I don't know that. But Nico Grant burying the people alive. Nico Grant and both the no-good, weightless, and caring government would have no respect. Nobody tell me yet, but this road and I on the side of the road.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Citizens Review. This is our citizens arrest portion, and I know you're thinking, who are they going to arrest this week? Who are they going to arrest this week? Well, last week, you know, we dealt with the Ministry of Youth. But this week, We back in Grand Bahama. Now, I am tired. I am so tired of having to go into Grand Bahama and to arrest these devilish monopolies like the Grand Bahama Power Company. Grand Bahama Power, we back to you all again. What is the problem? What is the problem? We've heard, and I got calls from Freeport all weekend. Aaron, the power off. We having problems. They are destroying appliances. I saw the story that ZNS News Night 13 did last night with the fella from Boodle Bay out west. How could you... And they had a town meeting last night. I got a call from Grand Bahama. Apparently there was a town meeting to deal with the fact that the power company has been having power surges and the power has been out for inordinate amounts of time. 16, 18 hours, people losing power. They load sharing from here to there because they're using old generators. It's like Iraq. They can't get no power. They sharing power. We always talking about these other countries, but they live in it in Grand Bahama, in case you didn't know. Call your family, check on them, because things are rough. They was already rough. But now the power company is deciding that they will do whatever they want to do, and it's a monopoly. How could you have a power surge, mess up my air condition, my TV, my VCR, my DVD, my refrigerator, and say you have no responsibility to fix it? But when the power bill come at the end of the month, and the bill don't pay, off. Off with your power. Every time. BEC is guilty just like Grand Bahama Power because they are asking for tax hikes. Grand Bahama Power just raised the power bill. Harbor Island screaming because they living like Iraq, load sharing and the power cutting off. What is going on? Whatever happened to renewable energy? We can't talk about that in the Bahamas. Grand Bahama Power, this week, you're locked up. I can't imagine how a monopoly could be allowed to mistreat people and do whatever they feel like, destroy people's goods and private property, and be allowed to get away with it. Mr. Head of Grand Bahama Power, you got work to do. We come into Grand Bahama because I'm tired. I'm tired of getting the calls about Grand Bahama and no power, 16, 18 hours of outage. And then no mercy. My God, you all know what I mean when I say no mercy. When it comes time to cut the power off, no mercy. None of these companies give us any mercy. We're sick of it. We are sick of it. And we will have our say. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show this week. And like we say every time before we close, we are but dust. And to dust we shall return. So you might as well say what you got to say before you're dead. Thanks for watching the show. We'll be back next week.